Well, hello, this is Roshunda Buchanan. I am founder of 2Unique Magazine, and I am here with the founder and CEO of Memphis Film Works. Hello, Mr. Lakethen Mason.
Hello, Miss Roshunda Buchanan.
Awesome! Woo! We're so excited to be here. I'm elated to be here with Mr. Mason on today, and we're going to talk about his upcoming project, which is Our Neighbors, Our Stories in Search of Common Ground. This is the book here. So tell us a little bit about your project and give us a few challenges that you've identified in the Memphis community and what inspired you to do this project.
Well, Our Neighbors, Our Stories in Search of Common Ground was a project that was a labor of love. It technically began earlier than when we were actually funded to do it. I had a vision to get to know Memphians on a deeper level. One of my professional skills is producing events, putting together large-scale community gatherings and small-scale community gatherings, and by doing that, also capturing the moment through film and through media. That inspiration came from being able to manage the project of I'm a Man Plaza, the MLK 50 project. That was a big undertaking. We had to actually produce 5 events and 5 projects for the city of Memphis to make sure that that particular season was well recognized and received by the community. And as I was going through that process of managing MLK 50 for the city of Memphis, I learned what I didn't know. There was so much about Memphis and Memphians, our history, our story, that was missing for me.
Wow.
It was missing in my education. It was missing in my conversation with others, and I didn't want to feel disconnected from the Memphis story.
Wow.
So I began working on getting support to take this journey and take the journey of working with community members, getting to know who our civil rights leaders were and who they are,
Wow.
and why
Yes.
they did what they did or do what they do, why they even still do what they do in their elder years. I approached the Kresge Foundation in April of 2019, and I asked them if they would support the opportunity for us to take the journey with at least 300 families and residents, capturing their story, their formative experience as a Memphian, and what culture and community really means to them in the preservation and the sustainability of our communities.
Yes, I think that is so amazing. And speaking on that, I want you to kind of reach, I believe it's important for the young people to know where they come from. Those young people that are living in Memphis, because we have so much youth crime and violence. And I think it's important for them to know the rich history that Memphis has. And do you think that could be an impact or difference or change that could be made to change the perspective of youth that is going down the wrong path?
Well, our path, I would say our students, our youth are not going down the wrong path. They're going down the path that we have chosen for them. They're going down the path that is recorded and documented every day. They are the breaking news. If we give them breaking news, they become breaking news.
Wow, I
Right.
like that. That's powerful.
So I am truly more invested in changing the narrative, and I would say leveling up to the narrative that we want our youth to acquire and to appreciate.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I think
I love
kind of
that
answer it.
answer.
Youth and violence uh, has to be redirected. We must redirect what that means to our community and to our youth. And what that also means is filling in the gaps of what they don't know.
Wow.
As I said earlier, you don't know what you don't know.
That's it.
as someone who loves Memphis, loves our story, there are so many gaps in the stories that are told that are truly great gems and fabric of our culture and of who we are as Memphians.
Yes.
And as I was going, I remember once I finished my assignment with MLK 50 in 2018, I decided to get on the airplane. And I went to LA. I wanted to go to Los Angeles, California, just to get away.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, you know what? After a year of planning 5 huge events for the city of Memphis, I just wanted to get away.
Yeah.
Well, once I got on the plane, I said, wait a minute. But once I left the house, wait a minute, where's my camera? I wanted to bring my camera with me. And on the plane, while I was on my way to Hollywood, this idea of getting to know my neighbors in LA that were from Memphis just overtook my sensories. So while we were boarding the plane, I ended up calling and texting a few friends who had some Hollywood inside, knowledge or information. So I'm going to Hollywood, and I like to find some Memphians that's in arts and culture, and I'd like to speak with them. And I got over 100 responses.
Oh, wow.
I did have a round trip ticket, so I was only able to speak with and engage 30 Memphians that lived in Hollywood that decided to take their chances and export their talent or export their gift to another space or another area, and many of them were very successful and are still very successful. So that kind of became the impetus of, okay, if I can go to Hollywood and find a Memphian to talk about their experiences, what hustle and flow means to them, what grit and grind means to them, I can do that right here in Memphis.
That's right.
Because that's what it's about. It's about Memphis. And it's about Memphians who are willing to take the chance, right? And take the reins. So that became kind of the spirit and the mission of the work I wanted to contribute to our story and to Memphians, to let them know that the message is there. The people, the brightness, the light, the light that shines within us, it's there. And so if we're shining the narrative light brighter than the word of violence and the victimization of the use of word that our youth are violent and all they know are guns and what attributes to that, when we replace the word with opportunity and we replace that narrative with history, then we now control the narrative, and we now can shape, reshape, or cultivate what's needed to bring them back to the remembrance of the greatness of us.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful. Yes, that's a powerful message. Thank you for that. And I want to know, with the book, do you plan to do this as a documentary in the future or turn it into a movie or film?
All of that. In fact, before the book came about, all of these narratives that we actually recorded were recorded in video form. So we did this 600 times in 2 years. We engaged 600 community members, and many of those stories are stories that are completely worthy of the documentary space, the movie making space. And in fact, we've with many of the neighbors that we met, they said, I see my life as a movie now.
Oh, wow.
And I said, that is perfect. And that's how we should all see ourselves, see our lives as a movie, as a journey, right?
Yes.
Which took me back to the hero's journey, which is that monolithic look at what we offer the universe, what the universe offers back to us in terms of redirecting whatever those challenges we call them, what those opportunities are, and sends us through a journey that may include trials, that may include us facing our fears, but overcoming our obstacles, whatever those obstacles are, and becoming champions in our own yard. Right? Becoming champions in our own yard. That is the ultimate goal that we should be, in the ultimate message that we should be relaying to our youth and to our elders. They are the ultimate champion of our yard.
Yes.
From our young people to our middle-aged people to our elders who have experienced things that we haven't really taken the time to understand in today's culture. So Our Neighbors, Our Stories is the culmination and also the continuation of that narrative.
Yes.
It is the first volume of many volumes that we certainly hope and commit to. And within the first volume, there's only 100 of the 600 stories that we captured and collected in that 2-year period by working with the Kresge Foundation and the Assisi Foundation.
Okay.
There are many more book volumes to come, and there will be many films and many narrative films and other documentaries that go alongside this ongoing journey of African Americans and Memphians working together to shape our narrative. Because our narrative does not have to be wrought with blight. It does not have to be wrought with crime. Every time I hear that word, I'm saying, what's another word? How can we express ourselves and sometimes our disappointments in another way that's not blaming or shaming?
Yes. That's
So
powerful. I love
let's
that.
discontinue the shaming and let's rewrite the narrative so that the hope and the expectation matches the realization of our excellence.
Yes, and knowing that with God's grace, we'll get to the destination. We just have to enjoy the journey and come together as a collective to do the work.
We have to.
Yes.
We have to. And we will. And that's why we're here.
That's it. That's it. I'm so excited. So tell me, what are some key elements that motivated you and inspired you to be a part of such an amazing platform with not only the film industry, but even becoming a content creator?
Well, I think in terms of developing content is king, right? And we understand that the message that we leave here within our universe takes form and it takes shape. We may expire physically, but what we say, what we do, and what impression we leave on others will remain far past the expiration of our physical state. So that is what's most important in terms of the inspiration, if you will, to continue and to keep going, because it's challenging, right? So being able to find people who understand the vision, who understand the purpose of the journey, and why it takes shape, why it takes time, and how it takes resources. Being able to find those individuals and those energies that support this work is an ongoing process.
Yes.
So I'm totally sorry.
No,
get
go
excited,
ahead.
but,
Go ahead.
Totally inspired by the opportunity to continue building the narrative for great Memphians, right, and the greatness of Memphians. Wanted to share one example, if I may.
Yes.
You know, you can get out of this talking. Right? I went to college with a college friend. His name is Nick Nelson, and this was 25 years ago. And in 2016, he came to visit Memphis. And I was like, wow, this is great. You know, old college friend. We get a chance to talk. Well, I had no idea that his family roots were of Memphis, in North Memphis, in Douglas. His father was Dr. Bill Nelson, who he moved his family to Ohio, and in the mid-'60s and in the late '60s became one of the first African American deans of we call it a predominantly white university, Ohio State University. And he went on to develop the strongest African American studies program in the country that is, of course, housed on a predominantly white campus. And we didn't know any of this, right? That there are so many brilliant historians, philosophers, singers that are from Memphis, D.D. Bridgewater, all over the world. And they give their talents and they give their energy to the world. And unfortunately, we don't either recognize it, realize it, or we have forgotten to honor it.
Yes.
Right? And so we're now in the space where we have to honor the paths that have been created for our success. But in order to honor it, we got to know it. In order to know it, we gotta remember it, and we have to bring it into full face of what our culture needs in order to understand that we have been brilliant all along. So we don't have to forget our brilliance. We do not have to put it in secondary state of being. We can make it our primary being, knowing that the path has been created for us, but the responsibility is that we move it forward.
That's it. That's it.
In action, in word, in hope, in expectation.
Powerful. Powerful. I love that. Tell me, your ambassadors program. I am excited to know about what you're doing for youth and young adults to be a part of such an amazing platform, and how you're able to connect them with this industry and how they're inspired on that platform.
First of all, they're inspiring me every day, right? And this project or initiative actually came about while we were on the engagement journey of Our Neighbors, Our Stories. We began to interview legendary historians like Elaine Turner, who has done a great job and has done us a great service in preserving our history through the Slave Haven Museum, through the W.C. Handy's house, and through the Heritage Tour Company that she provides tours to our community about the Black American experience here in Memphis, to Dr. David Acey, who I remember some of the poets and writers that were working on helping build the narratives that you see in the book. I remember the poet saying, "I've only seen Dr. Acey as a young man, as an old man." And when I read his story, I realized that his journey as a young man has brought him to the status that he is now. Dr. David Acey, many of our generation may know him, and his wife, Yvonne Acey, as the founders of the African April cultural experience.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
But little did people know that as a college student, Dr. David Acey was one of those young activists who helped break down barriers on the University of Memphis campus and created demands for the administration to respect, integrate, and honor the African American experience on the campus of University of Memphis. This particular young man, Dr. David Acey, had his roots and it was firmly grounded in activism and advocacy for the African American experience, way far beyond today, right? So he didn't just start with African April. He started with making a statement and creating demands for better treatment of African Americans as a 19, 20-year-old man who took a stand. And so those are the type of individuals that have now become my motivators. They have inspired me. They've inspired people who work along with Memphis Filmworks to make sure that we understand just the narrative that we've been missing in our education piece. The HAP program, which that's what you asked me about. We call it HAP, right?
Okay.
It's the History Ambassadors Program. And we've now updated that to the History in Place initiative.
Okay.
But the ambassadors, the impetus behind the ambassadors program is to make sure that we are creating voices that understand our path. And that those voices have to be our young people. They are our future torchbearers, right? If we're not training and informing and educating our torchbearers on the message and the legacy of the African American experience and or the Memphis culture, then we're not doing our job. So the HAP program came about as a way to connect our youth to the burgeoning Memphis story, that takes us from the past, moves us in the present, and continues us on into the future. We have worked with artist residents and fellows. We've worked with middle and high school students, educating them about some of our greatest influences in the Memphis story. They do the research, they write their narrative, and then they express it through some type of cultural or artistic piece. It could be a monologue, it could be a short film, or it could be a painting, right? So giving the artistic freedom to our young minds to connect them to the story, to have them become the story, right? And then act out that story through their hope and expectation for the Memphis story. So that's the HAP program in a nutshell. We're now excited to partner with high schools like East High School and Mr. Marshawn Calvin, who has done a phenomenal job in helping us work alongside our young high school students and connecting them to important people or people who just have done interesting things. And through this spring cohort, they have been able to develop and produce their own short films about their journey and connecting with some inspiring people in the community. So very soon, next week, they will be showcasing their short films before a live audience. It's actually sold out, by the way.
Oh, congratulations.
The community has spoken. They want to support our youth.
I love that. Yes.
That's a big win.
Yes.
That's a big win when you see community saying that I want to stand up for my child.
Yes, sir.
Because what they represent is much stronger than the word violence and crime.
Yes.
So they're there for them, and they will be showing their films.
Oh, congratulations. That is so awesome. I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. And I know the Memphis community is proud of the work you're doing. And that leads me kind of in my last question, because when we're talking workforce development, what you're doing is really placing those youth in communication studies. You're helping them to project. You're helping them to be able to speak, not only publicly, but I'm looking at, we understand that advanced manufacturing, IT, when those are what we're considering in demand high industries, right? But I think performing arts, the film work that you're doing, that's a high demand industry as well. When you can pull youth into an atmosphere to be able to know how to plug in and connect, because they have a culture. We have culture that says, we love to hear music, we love to act, we like fashion. We're tuned in to those industries. So kind of talk about how you see workforce development and how we as African Americans can really help others understand how to catapult and bring our culture to a workforce platform that can be recognized and elevated.
Again, narrative. Workforce or pathway? Which do you choose? Pathway, right? Now we go back to how, from a city planning perspective, how does the city desire workforce to come in and support the economy? A decision, or some decisions were made very early on, that Memphis would be known as a world headquarters for distribution and supply chain management. Therefore, when you think about the messages and what the narrative is, or what the narrative has been, it has not been inclusive of creative culture and creative energy. Therefore, we have not taken the time to develop a creative class, which means we now borrow from the notion that in order to make it in entertainment, you have to make it out of Memphis.
That is so true.
But the question is, why haven't we thought about creating a creative class that allows our creatives and our artists to make it in Memphis? I think that message is beginning to change. The energy is beginning to embrace what the creative class and the creative culture of Memphis brings to the economy of our city. And so with that recollection, and with us now reflecting on post-COVID, what's going to drive Memphis back into the global seat? It is our culture. It is our music. It is the writers. You see the writers coming out of Memphis. But you're also seeing those writers, those actors, those singers coming back.
Yes.
Right? So when I went out of Memphis to Hollywood, and I wanted to hear the voices of Memphians that left Memphis, I asked them one question: what would help you bring back your energy, your gifts, and your talent to Memphis so that other Memphians will make it in Memphis?
Yes.
Everybody said one thing:
What's that?
celebrate me home.
Mm.
Many of the artists that have chosen to leave Memphis, while they were in Memphis, never felt valued, appreciated, or even poured into and invested in.
Yes.
So when they left Memphis with their talent, we did teach them one thing. We taught them how to grit
And grind.
We taught them how to grind, and we taught them how to not take no for an answer, right? No is the law here, but if you go somewhere else, be tenacious,
Yes.
right? And so we've had tenacious talent move to Atlanta, move to Florida, move to New York, move to Hollywood, and they've been very successful. But there was one thing missing in the equation, and still exists in that missing piece, is when Memphis celebrates me home, I will answer the call. Until then, I will stay where I am.
And that's how you retain talent. That is amazing.
Goes back to pathway development.
Yes.
If we develop the pathway with the intent of that pathway benefiting our citizens here in Memphis, that infrastructure building that needs to occur, then we'll see arts and culture make it in Memphis without the need to go elsewhere to make it out.
Wow. I love that. Thank you, Lakethen. That concludes our interview. I have met such a wonderful and have an addition great friend here.
Not that we're putting you in.
Yes, I know. So please, you all, I encourage you. I have purchased the book, Our Neighbors, Our Stories, and I'm so grateful for this platform. And we want you to join Mr. Lakethen. Let them know how they can reach you, how the viewers can reach you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so give your Twitter or your social media handles for me.
Okay. I'm not good on the handles.
Okay.
I can tell you. I'm trying to get a handle on the handles.
Okay.
But if you're certainly if you're interested in finding out more about the book, you can go to www.ourneighborsourstories.org. If you're also interested in our news and cultural platform, you can go to themfw.org. So www.themfw.org. Memphis Filmworks is present. We're present on all of social media. Whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, you're able to catch us pretty much everywhere within the social media realm. So we're very happy to be a part of the Memphis community and the Memphis culture. And we're ready to take Memphis to the global stage where not only the world appreciates us, but we appreciate each other, particularly when the mirror is on our side.
I love it. I love it. Thank you all for joining us. Remember that you too are unique, and let's come together to change the narrative.
You got it. You got it. Let's come together, change the narrative. You got it. You got it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Thank
That's
you.
the end.
That's it. You can turn it off now.